and that's her best number, period. We will be able to charge the full.
Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. In the first hour of the broadcast, I'm going to give you content, information for better sex, more money, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice, more strategies and gambits for having it all. The second hour is what I'm most excited about. It's when I get a chance to chat with you. Yes, you. Where you can call in, talk to me, ask me questions. And if you say the secret word of the day, you could win $5,000 cash. At the very least, if you're the most interesting call of the day, you could also win 10 ounces of freshly minted Marshall Sylver 999 Fine Silver. All of that and more. Brand new Mercedes-Benz sedan or SUV up for grabs. My personal Rolls-Royce Phantom up for grabs. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information about its release coming up. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. I'm Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker.
Let me bring in our hypnotist, Marshall Sylver.
It's Marshall Sylver, ladies and gentlemen, the world's fastest hypnotist.
I should probably use the restroom.
Hello there and welcome. We are live. No, it's too late to use the restroom. It's too late. That's the power of live video. Hey, so glad you're with me. As you can tell, we've got an unusual show. In fact, this is a show without precedents. This is our first ever live stream broadcast. We're live with a guest. And as you can tell, we're not in the studio. We're actually not in front of a green screen. Yeah, be jealous. This is the actual view out the back of the beach house. We've got the spa over there. We got the cold plunge over there. We got the infrared sauna over there. And back there, my private ocean. That's right. Hey, today's show is a very, very special one. Very glad to have you join us. On today's show, we're going to talk with Michael Luculano. Michael is known as Hardmoney Michael. He's the guy that's done over $1 billion. Yes, that's with a B. $1 billion in loans. He is in the top 1% of all loan officers in the country. He's been doing this for over 20 years. But that's all just the stats. The good news is he's a good guy. In an industry that people are constantly ripping people off and trying to, figure out how to leverage people that might not know, Michael is honest and he's got integrity and he's a good man to deal with. He tells it like it is. Not only that, he is fun to hang out with. Got a beautiful bride, 2 beautiful daughters. He's A-OK in my book. Give a big Marshall Sylver live welcome to Michael Hardmoney Luculano. Welcome, brother.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you.
Yeah, and good to be back, actually.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave. I got to leave later today, but I don't want to leave.
No, I don't blame you. I don't want to leave either. And this is the first stream we've done here on the patio, too. And I was telling my producer, Sterling, and the associate producer, Adam, I was telling them, one morning, I want to do my whole morning routine out here.
Yeah.
So I want to come out, do it live, get in the spa, go spend my 12 minutes in the cold plunge, go spend my 20 minutes in the infrared, back in the cold plunge for 7.
You spend 12 minutes in the cold plunge?
I spend 12 minutes on the first one, 12 and a half minutes, actually. I get in, chill to the core. I get out, then I go in the infrared for 20 minutes, and then I come back into there for 7 minutes, and I end on cold.
Wow.
And it is... It of all the buzzes I've ever had, it is without a doubt the most amazing. It's just so exhilarating by the time you're done. You can feel it. It's good for the joints, good for everything.
I bought a cold plunge 3 weeks ago. It took forever since I'm not handy to hook it up, and I've been in it one time. Actually, it's the same one that Jordan recommended for me.
Is it the one that I got for him?
The little black one, you like blow it up?
Yeah.
I think I definitely got the wrong one, maybe.
Well, so that's the one that you just described. The blow up one is the one I got for him and his family for his birthday. And I'm jealous.
Sure.
Because number one, it was way better pricing. I mean, I'm jealous about that. But number two, it's a better system. And he Jimmy rigged his too, by the way. So
I could tell by the videos. I'm like,
yeah.
How did he get it to do that? I'm watching all of his posts and stuff like that.
So let's dive in. So hard money. What's hard money?
Hard money is essentially hard asset lending, right? This home, that home. It's a physical property. We're not lending on a handshake. We're not lending on a hope. We're lending on the fact that, hey, you know what? It's just like a regular bank. It's just an alternate source of capital. So it's our own money. We get to make the rules. If the deal makes sense, we can do it. Generally, you'd come to us because you have an issue with speed. You've got to close fast. You got to move fast. Credit. You don't necessarily meet the bank box, or could be income. You're not in your job long enough, or you don't show enough income for the bank to lend on you. We're a scenario-based lender, not a box-based lender. So obviously, naturally, we're more expensive because we're a little bit riskier. So yeah, that's kind of what it is.
How did you get into the mortgage industry? You've been doing it for 20 years, over $1 billion in loans.
Yeah.
How'd you get into it?
So actually, we're coming up on almost 23 years, and we're close to $2 billion in loans. Believe it or not, I got into lending because when I was 19 or 20, everybody around me was making money. I was a young kid trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I wanted to make money. I didn't know how, I didn't know where. Obviously, people around me were in real estate, and you're like, wow, I want to go that way. And so I remember seeing people that I didn't think were that bright making a lot of money. And I'm like, well, God, I could do that. And I got into it. Ironically enough, the first couple of months, I didn't do well. I was figuring it out. I almost quit. And started figuring it out, became obsessed with it, learned real estate, learned how, honestly, real estate is a way to build wealth, at least in some point, and just in kind of my life, to be honest with you. And that's what I've done ever since.
Well, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like the story of the 1850 gold rush, where everybody went out to make money on gold, but the first millionaire was Sam Brannan. The first California millionaire was Sam Brannan. And what he did was sold picks and shovels. He sold all, everything that the gold rushers, the miners were going to need. He sold it to them, became wealthy doing that. And I think sometimes people don't realize, how much the financial industry is based on people like you, people that are able to keep the grease in the wheels by making sure money is out in the marketplace. What makes you unique to other lenders? There's tons of people. Why would I, as I have actually, why would I choose you to fund a loan through rather than somebody else?
Sure. I mean, I can tell you the number one reason. And I tell people this very candidly. I do very well. I have a stacked pipeline at all times. And so I make the statement, I don't need your business. What does that mean? It means I don't need your business. It means I want it. If I can't do it, or we're not on the same page in terms of what I can do for you, makes sense. No offense, there's 37 right behind you, right? So for me, if I can't do it, I'm going to tell you. If I'm going to tell you my fees, if you like it, we're going to move forward. And if not, it's cool. So I just don't like to waste time, right? Like, time is so precious. I have two beautiful young daughters. I don't want to waste time working on a deal that's not going to go through.
You only have two daughters, to clarify.
Yeah.
Sometimes when people tell me they have three beautiful kids, I say, how many kids do you actually have?
Yeah. My girlfriend, Nicole, would tell you she had 3 kids.
Yes, I'm sure she does. I know you.
So really, I would say the straightforwardness, you're going to get that. Communication, I think, is really big. A lot of people in our industry drop the ball. They're transactional for a month, and then they take off. They had a good month, and then next month they're out in Vegas or whatever they're doing. This is my career. This is my life. And honestly, it's my passion. Strangely enough, but Nicole tells me all the time, go get some hobbies. I don't really have any hobbies. I really enjoy what I do. So I take it very seriously.
People are, obviously things have changed. Interest rates right now are they're high, not extremely high because they've been higher historically, but they're high right now. And I know a lot of times people don't want to get loans because they're worried about a higher interest rate. And one of the things that I have come to believe, even though I own my home in Vegas, I've come to believe that you're way, 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 way better off taking any equity you have in your principal residence and pouring it into investments. In other words, not letting a whole lot of equity or money sit in even your primary residence, which is the opposite of what a Susie Orman or a Dave Ramsey would say, which, by the way, I don't really subscribe to most of what they teach. I think a lot of what both of them teach is foolish. And far be it from me. They both have, thriving, huge businesses. They've made boatloads of money. I just don't think there's a benefit anymore in home ownership if you can avoid it. I think if you can figure out a way to get a really great lease on a property, and then all the money you invest in rental properties, especially right now, with so many people getting displaced. We haven't even seen, in my opinion, we haven't seen the number of foreclosures that we're going to see because of what happened during the scamdemic and all the lockdown. There's a lot of people that, had their loans and they were deferred on their payments, but now they're making payments again. The challenge is it didn't correct them financially during the time when not only were they not paying their mortgage, they weren't making any money. So they had all those other bills besides their mortgage build up. And I think with BlackRock and a lot of the bigger players popping in, that it's actually an intentional play to start grabbing all these homes.
Of course it is.
And some people are afraid of that because they think, I don't want to have a landlord and they own the house because then they control me. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you have a substantial amount of equity, now would be a good time to start leveraging the equity, start buying things, because there's going to be properties available for pennies on the dollar. What do you think? What do you say to somebody who says, I don't want to refinance right now because interest rates are so high?
Wake up. The reality is this is a new world. It's a new age. And you need to be making money. You need to be thinking about making money. Unless you're independently rich, family's rich, you have some sort of succession plan coming to you, you have to use your home as a tool. That's what it is. If you're emotionally tied to your home, you're doing it wrong. It's a place to live, not a place to gawk over. The reality is you could have the prettiest house, but if you can't pay your bills, what good is it? I think everything you just said is dead on. It's ironic because even with Nicole, I actually had this conversation 2 weeks ago. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we just go sell our house, take all the equity, because we're buying and selling businesses now in addition to other things. And completely agreed with you about that whole statement about, hey, primary home, money's tied up in it. If everything's looked at as an upside, now's the bottom.
Right.
Interest rates go down, prices go up. If you can borrow money now, even the businesses, we're looking at businesses right now, the deals on businesses are great. Having the high interest rate, if you can think beyond the rate and you can see value, it's amazing time, because if you can cash flow and make money right now, you're going to murder it when we turn.
Let's talk about that, because that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. And
Sure.
I'm not really allowed to talk about it a lot.
Sure.
Because a lot of my strategic alliance relationships are with people that teach real estate investments.
Sure.
But let's talk about the fact that real estate is valued, whether it's commercial or residential or multifamily, doesn't matter. It's valued on the comps. It's valued on what did properties that are similar in the similar area sell for. Whereas a business is not based on the comps. It's based on its earning potential, and It's based upon what kind of business it's doing. So you could take an existing business that's doing poorly, buy it for a representation of what it was worth in that moment, and not change anything other than the amount of business, the amount of money it's bringing in, and you automatically increase the value of that entity. Kind of like multifamily. Multifamily, if I go in and I buy a building for X, and then I increase the rents across the board 50% because there hasn't been an increase in 10 years, I automatically increase the value of that building 50%.
Correct.
Which is substantial. But again, what people don't realize about businesses is, we were talking, in fact, you and I were talking about this. So many things changed during the lockdowns. People aren't going to malls like they used to. They're just ordering online. They're definitely not going to movie theaters, live movie theaters like they used to. But one of the other things that's going on is during the lockdowns, you had a lot of business owners who had owned their businesses, their family businesses. They owned them for 20 or 30 years. And then the lockdowns came and they just went, you know what, we're done. It's too hard. We already made our money. We're done. We just want to shut the business down. And then their kid says, no, mom and dad, you've had that restaurant for 20 years. Don't shut it down, sell it. A couple of months ago, I was on Facebook Marketplace of all places. And there was a Mexican restaurant for sale in another part of San Diego. And it was for sale for $250,000. Owner will carry the paper. And so I called and I said, what's going on with the property? He said, hey, we make about $200,000 a year. We got a lot of equipment here and we just want to sell it. And I said, how much do you think you have in equipment? and supplies and everything else. And he said, hey, probably about $100,000 worth of equipment. If you
Great
wanted to
deal.
replace it, yeah, phenomenal deal. And I said, so how much do I have to put down? He said, 10%. Okay, $25,000, I can put it down. I said, do you have management in place? He said, I do. I said, how long has your manager been there? He said, it's actually my cousin. I said, so you're actually making more than $200,000 a year? He laughed.
Yeah.
And he said, it's my cousin. He's been here for a while. It just runs itself. It's just easy. And I said, okay, I didn't buy it. Fast forward 2 months, the same place was advertised for $150,000. $150,000, owner will carry 10% down, same thing, $100,000 worth of equipment. So now I'm getting a business for free.
And you get a sweet deduction.
That's generating $200,000 a year in net income already. Plus I get free quesadillas. So, I mean, it's a good deal. But my point in all that is when I was talking to the owner and I was asking him, why are you selling? He said, Marshall, you know, I've owned the business for a long time. My wife and I were just done. My kids aren't interested. My kid seems to think that we can, you know, pull a little bit of money out of it. And I'm for that, but I don't care. He said, if I shut the door tomorrow, I don't care. There's a lot of those businesses right now. So I know that you've stepped into buying and selling businesses. Tell me, you know, what's your take on that, and why are you motivated in that?
There's a lot of opportunity right now, and you know, I just want to take it because I see the takeover. You see the BlackRocks, you see the rich getting richer right now, and the big gobbling up the small. So you've got to kind of step up. You've got to take your shots and not just yield. And that's just another opportunity. I mean, look, if you have equity in your home and you could borrow it at 9%, but you could buy a business that's producing, you could buy at 3 times earnings. It's basically like making 33% on the business, most of which you're financing. You're not even putting it down because you're only putting down the down payment.
Right.
There's so many businesses willing to do seller financing with all types of industries, not just restaurants. But you're kind of a fool for not looking at opportunities. And personally, I think that somebody right now who doesn't want to make money, they've given up. And that's cool if you don't want to, but the opportunities are there. And so, you know, I choose to surround myself with people like you who are constantly moving, constantly driving, because it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, I think like once you stop, you're already going backwards. It's exciting. And once you put it all together, it gets addicting. And, you know, I've been told I'm a workaholic a lot, but honestly, recently I've started delegating more and more and more. And now I've got like the benefit of scale to look at this and look at that, put the management in place, go here, do this. And maybe that's not where people are at or currently, but those opportunities are there. And I just don't understand why people don't look. I mean, maybe they don't think they can, but it's a lot easier than you think.
Yeah, it's in their head. That's the challenge. It's in their head.
Yeah.
And so what consistently stops them is their brain thinking, I know nothing about this type of business. I wouldn't know what to do with it. And, you know, usually when you've got a business that sells like they're selling these days and the owner is financing it, they don't care. They full well know that anybody could buy it and it could end up back in their laps and end up worth substantially less because somebody drove it into the ground. But at this point, the majority of the scenarios, not even some of them, are people who are just done. They're done with the politics of today. They're done with the bureaucracy and the government, you know, intervention and complication inside of their business. They're just done.
And that's just the opportunity, because at the end of the day, even if they were done, life's got a cycle. You got to keep living. And if you're going to live tomorrow, you got to get with the times. And at the end of the day, it's just the cycle for the next man up. And the reality is life does not go in a straight line. So if you're just one step, two step, one foot in front of the other, sounds cute, but you kind of got to one foot in front of the other and run a little bit, one foot in front of the other and pick it up and take some shots.
Yep. Speaking of taking shots, it's a Gretzky play for everybody right now. And I think more than ever, people have to pay attention to where the puck is going,
Right.
because the puck is going way faster than it's ever gone. And the people paying attention. So again, back to the conversation we were having before we started recording, and you realized you had to use the restroom. You know, I was thinking about movie theaters and how during the lockdowns, everybody bought a big screen. They bought a bigger flat screen and they bought a recliner, and they're sitting at home. They figured out how to make gourmet popcorn. And so they don't have a reason to go back to the theater. Many of those theaters are in malls, and they were the anchor of the mall. They were an anchor store. They were the thing that was driving traffic to the mall, so the mall owners, the landlords, could charge more rent to all the other tenants because the theater's bringing in 10,000 bodies a week. Well, the theaters aren't bringing those bodies in. The malls don't have nearly as much traffic. During the lockdowns, everybody decided, I'm going to start shopping online. I'm going to get it from Amazon by 3:00 in the afternoon because I'm Prime. So all those things shifted. What other shifts do you think occurred during the last few years? Obviously everything has shifted during the current administration and just not business friendly, not friendly whatsoever to the middle class working American. What do you think has shifted business wise? What should I be looking for as far as a business to buy? If I want to be a owner, non-operator, hands-off owner, what should I look for? What kind of businesses are thriving? The car washes, mailboxes.
Yeah, I think for me, I think you need to have enough free cash flow to make it make sense. The restaurant example, I would think, would be probably a little.
Restaurants are hard.
That industry's tough. At the same time, a higher cash flow. We have a buy box. Ironically enough, I posted it on my page of kind of the range of what we're looking for. We're definitely sticking to it.
3 to 5 million.
Yeah, 10 employees, 10 years. We don't, the concept going around is buy boring businesses. And that sounds like a boring statement, but it's actually a profitable statement. Trades.
Right.
I don't think you're ever going to be able to get AI, at least that I'm aware of, to fix your air conditioner.
Or repair the roof.
Or the roof.
Right.
Or, something that kind of needs to be seen by the human eye. I'm heavily looking in the med space, med spas.
Yep.
I'm a big client of those.
You're in Phoenix, fat old people.
Yep.
No, I mean that. That's not an insult.
Yeah.
I'm fat and old. What I mean is people that are of an age that they have expendable income, and and vanity starts kicking in. And when I've got more time on my hands, I start thinking about, okay, how do I live longer? What kind of treatments do I take? What do I do? We were talking about nootropics and supplements and different ways of enhancing our lives. That's huge right now.
Yeah.
The whole med spa idea is massive. I just went because I have damage on my knees and had PRP done on my knees.
Oh, I remember you were telling me about
so I had it done 2 weeks ago. I haven't seen the benefits yet. I just want to update you. But they said it would be about 30 days, but it was $3,000.
Sure.
And what did they do? They came in, they took blood from my arm, they spun it for 30 minutes. Taking the blood took 10 minutes and a nurse. The injections, both knees, it took 15 minutes. So, the clinic is into me for 30 minutes, made $3,000.
Which is amazing because it just proves the point. You're not paying for time. You're paying for a result.
You're paying for an outcome.
And I love that.
Yeah. And I said this also earlier. I think that we've gotten to the point where not only do we pay for outcome, I think we're at a point, and I think that tech has done this, that experience trumps outcome even now. That I will take a little less of an outcome for a slightly better experience. I just want it to be more fun. I want it to be easier. You were talking about it, that you flew in from Phoenix to San Diego International, not realizing North County, San Diego is 45 minutes with traffic. It's an hour.
And I got to go do it again.
You got to go back when you leave. And we have an airport 11 minutes from here, which is why I live here.
Right.
We have a private airport 11 minutes from here that just started doing commercial flights with JSX.
Sure.
And yeah, I highly recommend people do that because once again, JSX is more expensive than Southwest or Frontier or any of the JetBlue. I don't even know what airlines fly because I don't fly commercially. It's for dirty people. But anyway, JSX is two times, maybe 3 times as expensive, but it just saved you 2 hours.
Probably more than that.
Yeah, for sure.
Ironically, the Scottsdale one's right next to my house too.
Yes.
Sitting in the airport for an hour, it's just what people are calling it now is time arbitrage, right?
Yes.
So it's like, if I could be taking a couple more sales calls, closing another deal, helping somebody out, making X, looking at another business. As opposed to going through that whole process, it's a return that you're willing to do.
Well, and again, time's the great equalizer. So all the time I teach people, the people that are getting more done than you are using their time better. That's all. That's all they're doing.
Right.
They're figuring out a way. How do I dovetail? How do I get on the treadmill and work at my computer on a walking treadmill? How do I listen to audiobooks in the car when I'm driving? How do I make sure that if I'm going to go for a walk, I'm doing all my text and emails at the same time while I'm walking and get stuff done? And I think that again, there's a reason Elon Musk is as successful as he is. Like you said, you got to figure out what you love. You can't work anymore. You can't work because that's your life.
You have to be able to do 5 things at once, whether someone else is doing it for you or you're doing some of it. You have to do 5 things at once. You have to compound your day and your outcome. So yeah, but it's exciting. I mean, you know.
So back to the businesses. What types of businesses? You said service-oriented businesses, roofing. There's tons of people. I've got another student that they are in the insurance business, and he's a young guy. He came through my Inner Circle program at 22. Just sold. I think they sold 50% of his company for like $22 million.
Wow.
And so he cashed out 50%. He's keeping the other 50% to grow it and keep the money, but just put $22 million in his pocket.
That doesn't
his other friend just sold 30% of his company for like $33 million. So they're in the insurance business. So they're selling an annuity.
Sure.
They're selling their book is what they're selling.
Right.
So if our sales organization, something I should be looking at?
I think certain industries, I think financial services is tough as a new person into the industry. In my opinion, that's a tough business to come into if you don't have prior knowledge. I would say probably not for the novice. The trades are really good: air conditioning, roofing, plumbing. We looked at a company that was it was in Alabama. It's like a waste cleanup for like job sites. You know, those things have to be properly disposed of. My favorite, of course, is healthcare and med spas. Nicole's background is in nursing and medical, so our target is that. But there's so many different industries. I mean, my God, just run down a list of stuff you do on a daily basis and just realize that there's stuff and spin-offs to all those different industries that provide opportunities as well.
You familiar with a guy? Gosh, let me figure out what his last name is. He's a student of mine. Ben Reinberg.
I'm not.
So you want to talk to him?
Okay.
Ben, that's their whole business. Is they fund medical facilities.
Oh wow.
That's all they do is invest in medical facilities. Yeah, you two should connect.
Awesome.
He's right up your alley, and I'm sure you guys would do a ton of business together.
Where's he out of?
He used to be out of Chicago, and he used to split his time between Chicago and Laguna Beach.
Oh.
And I couldn't figure out why. He took one private jet trip with me from Chicago back to San Diego and ended up immediately moving everything to Laguna Beach. Just said, I'm done. No reason to live in Chicago anymore. Right. Coming from Michigan, I can fully understand how he felt. So Ben, that's all they invest in, because once again, you got to find a target-rich environment.
Sure.
I think that a lot of times people, they think if I buy a business I know nothing about, then I've got to know something about that business, and you don't. You need to know about business.
Well, the biggest thing is, are you buying as a job? Hopefully not.
Right.
Or are you buying as a business? Because you should have a strong number 2.
Right.
You should have somebody from the
existing
current
companies,
owners,
right,
who has some sort of vested interest for a period of time, who has a vested interest to sell, but eventually fully move on, but also kind of help you along the way. I mean, look, if you have
or figure out a way to make that key person involved to the point where they can earn equity by making sure that it continues to perform.
It's amazing how I've always been huge believer of overpaying. Like I've been notorious for overpaying people. Like even certain people I hire in certain trades, like I've been told, man, you pay too much. It's amazing the value and the result I get. I don't have to chase them. I don't have to ask twice. It's vested interest, in my mind, are the 2 greatest words in the entire English language.
Well, I think that's also what you create as a community. You say, look, I'm going to take good care of you, and I expect you to take good care of me.
Amazing.
Yeah, don't tell me no on the weekend. If I call you at 11 o'clock at night, there's a reason I'm calling you at 11 o'clock. It's not because I want to bother you or I think I own you. It's because we need something done at 11.
Right.
And so if I'm willing to pay you for 10 o'clock when you had nothing to do, take care of it at 11.
And it's funny, people are like, I don't know about that, but I know the example you're making. It's amazing how things just flow better. With the guy at the top trying to just take every dollar, it's the guy at the bottom has nothing to lose. You're giving him nothing to lose. It's like I say, even in a relationship, it's good to lose fights. It's good because the other person, like not all the time, but it's good to lose sometimes.
It's better to be happy than right.
Yes.
We were also talking about that. I had somebody sent an email asking, how do you motivate teams? And my belief is that 95% of the population wants to be led around by their noses by the other 5%.
Sure.
Not just that they prefer it actually. And they prefer it because there's less responsibility. There's less angst, there's less anxiety, there's less anything. There's just, give me my paycheck, let me do my job, let me go home. Coupled with that, though, we all want to enjoy where we are.
Sure.
And I know that for a long time I was guilty, and I still have to remind myself to say hello to my teammates. And I don't know if you can relate to this. You know, in the morning I get to work, I'm at my desk, I'm busy working, I need something done. I go on Slack and I say, hey, you know, Kevin, have you done this? Or hey, Anthony, have you handled that? And I haven't even said hello to them yet. And so I have to remind myself, say hello.
Sure.
I say, good morning. Hey, I need this.
It's a personal touch. I mean, we're in business to, what is the thing? We don't live to work. We work to live. Like, we're doing this for a reason. It's not to do more. It's not to make money, to make money, to make money. Money's the tool, not the outcome, right? That the trade of effort to get the money, and then the money of trade to get the outcome of life.
And again, it's about experience, not just for our customers, I think also for our teams. My first mentor was the guy that reinvented Halloween. I talk about Chuck all the time. And one of the things that impressed me about Chuck is I went to work for him when I was 14. And he's paying me not a lot of money, but a decent wage. And I remember many days he would say, hey, we need to go take care of this thing. And we'd get in his car and we'd drive over and we'd take care of whatever we need to take care of. And he'd go, hey, let's go have some lunch. We go have lunch, and he'd buy me lunch. And then he'd bring me back. And, 3 hours passed running that errand and getting lunch. And then he would pay me for the 3 hours. And coming from working labor in the fields, crawling through the fields of Michigan on my hands and knees, weeding carrots and spinach, you didn't get paid for your lunch break. You were off the clock during lunch. You didn't get paid for your breaks or your time away. So the idea that my employer wouldn't nickel and dime me.
Yeah, and what did it do for you? You probably wound up working harder.
All I wanted to do was find a way to please this guy because he was such an amazing man and is such an amazing man. And I think that again is not what a lot of leaders realize. Is the majority of the population, 95%, want to belong to something that they can be proud of.
Sure.
My son is my executive producer of this show. I brought on a manager of creative efforts, Adam, been doing a phenomenal job. My son beams at his title that he knows he's producing this show. And I had another producer that was doing a phenomenal job for me. And I wanted to bring Sterling on because I wanted him to have some experience having those kinds of responsibilities. And the other producer didn't know my son, to be fair, but he said, it's too much for somebody, a young person, too much. And I said, you don't know my son. And every day he comes back and says, we should do this better. We could do that differently. It would be way better. We could do this, we do that. Even this live setup. This is the first time we've ever done a live stream in person with a live guest. Usually it's basically Zoom format. Right. And so I'm glad it's you for so many reasons, but I'm also thrilled that we're doing it because I love this. I much prefer to be in person, as do you. You got, on a plane and flew all the way out here. I said, we can just do it via remote and do it. And you said, no, I want to be there. I agree. But we're also shooting it on 3 DJI Osmo 3 cameras. They're solid. They're beautiful.
They're like this big.
Yeah, the ocean is roaring behind us. You can't hear it. These DJI mics are so good. The condenser is so good. It drowns out that sound. But my point in all this is people don't know that there's a way to win that's different than how they've been doing it, and it works. Tons of people are going to want to come and do this podcast out here on the ocean. Hang out, have a nice latte, have
Italian food later.
Have Italian food after we get done. And again, it doesn't have to be work. And I think that's the biggest thing missing for people right now is they have lost or forgotten maybe how to be happy. That's the point of it all, is just to be happy. I used to want, to be the biggest celebrity in the world. And I enjoyed my celebrity when I was that guy. When my infomercial was running 24/7 all over the world and everywhere I went, everybody recognized me. That was cool. Now what's cool? My wife likes me. My kids love me. What's cool is being at peace. What's cool is not having drama. What's cool is not being harassed when I go in public. And again, I think just as we go through different periods of our time, life is different. You have a second child now.
Yep.
You just had a baby girl born.
Yep.
Has that changed you?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I have economies to scale now, though, because we got the first one. And absolutely. I love having daughters. I actually wanted daughters. I remember having the conversation with Nicole, and I got lucky. I got exactly what I wanted. It has changed me. It's weird because I feel like it's all on my shoulders, and I absolutely love it because if I'm going to succeed, it's me and my support, and if it's not, it's on me. And so there's no option, no other option. And I love it, and I work hard every day. And it's funny, you talk about being happy. I made a video and a while back, and it talks about how a client will become a friend faster than a friend will become a client. And it's amazing how almost probably 85% of my network now that I even hang out with on a social basis, clients, people we're doing deals with, things like that. And I call it the power of choice. Choose to live my life how I want, do what I want, hang out with who I want. And so there's very little drama. It's funny. I said there's no straight line, but it feels like a straight line right now with how things are.
You're on purpose.
Yeah.
You've got a good definition of purpose. And when we're more true to ourselves, every time something doesn't happen the way that I want it to happen, I say, okay, God, I know you're protecting me. Help me understand what this protection is.
Sure.
Case in point, we've been looking for a theater down here in Southern California for a long time. We thought we negotiated for 9 months on a property. I showed you the property.
Yep.
We were done. It was just waiting for the landlord's signature, and then they lost it over something, and the deal went south. And every single time a deal has gone south, I've said, okay, God, what do you want to teach me? And I'm positive, because I've been thinking, what's the next legacy move? That's where I am in my life, is what's my legacy move? What are the next 5 years? Because now is when I want to make my mark and what I'm remembered for. My mentor, Chuck Martinez, being remembered as the guy that reinvented Halloween, making hundreds of millions of dollars in the process, that's a pretty cool legacy.
Yep.
That he's the guy that reinvented that. And I believe that my legacy has always been entertainment and education combined. That I know myself, and probably you too, I learn the most when I don't know that I'm learning.
Right.
I learn the most when I'm intrigued with something, when I'm interested in something, when I'm having fun with something. And then I realize you did this. I don't like working out anymore. So I like playing racquetball with my wife because it doesn't feel like working out. It feels like a game with my wife that I love.
Sure.
And so once again, getting back to our businesses, back to the idea that so many people are desperate, and rightfully so. Maybe even some people watching the show right now, they're desperate. They're not eating. Maybe their rent or their mortgage is due. They're concerned about how they're going to pay that. I get all that. And the piece for me that's the piece for me is knowing that even if I lost it all, I got God. And that's not airy-fairy new agey. I got my wife. I got my kids. And we'll learn. Again, coming from a very poor background myself, we survived. And even though times were tough and there were times there was no food, we survived. And so I just want anybody watching right now to know that it's a bump in the road. Where do you think, so tell me some criteria. We got some people that got a bunch of equity in their homes. They're looking to pull some of that equity out because there's lots of opportunities for investment, businesses, real estate, any number of things right now. What are credit scores? What are expected interest rates? What could I pull out of my property? What percentage of equity could I expect to pull back out of my property? Tell us some of those details.
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to fluctuate on individual deal. I mean, the higher the property value, generally a certain cap on percentage. But, if you're $1 million and under on value, usually about 70-75% is probably like a reasonable range. It's hard to group it all together because everyone's situation is different. But usually in the 70-75, obviously banks like to see the most premium of possible because they're driven off the box and the profile. I think it's important to have kind of a purpose of what you're going to do with the money and why. Another thing that you were saying, I want to speak to for a little bit, having kind of that fearless mentality and ability, I think is invaluable. Even for me, it's like, I remember even speaking to Nicole today. It was like, it's awesome to know that I can take insane risks because I can never let you down. From her words.
Right.
So it's like, I'm not like throwing stuff into the wind. I'm being educated about it, but I'm taking my shots. It's great to have that platform, that support. It's like everything. you get it too with,
Yeah.
with Erica.
Yeah, and Napoleon Hill talks about that in Think and Grow Rich. And the Bible talks about it, of being evenly yoked.
Right.
My life is infinitely easier because I'm with Erica.
Sure.
And if I was with somebody who was constantly nagging or second guessing me or breathing down my neck to make more things happen or, live a different life, I wouldn't be happy. I'd be miserable.
Sure.
But the fact that I've got a bride that believes in me and is grateful every day, came out, brought me the latte, wanted to make sure that I had, whatever I needed for this morning. It's just, again, it's making sure that you and your significant other are on the same page. And so all those things have to work together. First and foremost, we got to get our mind on straight. If your head's not on straight, you got nothing. You need to secondly take charge of your health. If you're not healthy, you got nothing. I don't care how much you could have more money than anybody on the planet, and if you don't have your health, it doesn't matter. You'll trade it all.
I traded that.
Yes.
In the past couple of months, I've actually switched health to number one. I haven't had. It's crazy because I'm not like a huge drinker, but when I drink, I tend to drink. I'm going 6 months. I'm at a little over two months. I'm gonna have a single drink, and it's amazing. My clarity is like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, so health is. I did what did I say? I added a video yesterday. It said, "Get fit, get rich."
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the way it goes. So it's really cool, man.
Well, and I think, and on that, I stopped drinking, as you know, last July, July 12th. Over 300 days at this point. We're past the 10-month mark. And I don't know that I'll ever go back. It's just not interesting anymore.
Sure.
I'm feeling different experiences. I'm living in a different way, and I like it. And so for no other reason other than I like it.
Sure.
It is a good reason to do that. And I think as far as health goes, once again, it's helping people figure out what do you like. I'm not a fan of kale in any form, but Erica brought me a juice the other day, and she let me sip it, and it was dark green like kale is.
It was green?
It was very green. I still drank some of it, and I liked it. And I said, "What is this?" She said, "It's cold pressed kale with cayenne pepper and turmeric." I like turmeric. I like cayenne. I like the taste of them. And so it was a great way for me to drink that drink. I finished the drink, and I kid you not, I got instantly high. I could feel my brain just go, whoa.
So once you didn't know what it was,
I liked it.
You moved yourself out of the way.
Kind of like beef tongue.
Yeah.
You couldn't get me to eat beef tongue if you told me what it was, but I had it one time, didn't know what it was, and while chewy, I liked it.
It's like, what is that thing? Dining in the dark? You go and...
Dining in the dark, yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah, it's called a con job. That's what dining in the dark is. That's a con job. What do you, let's talk personal stuff.
Yeah.
You and Nicole have been together how long?
Almost 6 years.
Lovely. How'd you meet?
Hi, Nicole. We met in Boca Raton when I was in Boca in 2018.
You guys out clubbing in Boca?
Not quite, but maybe after the fact a little bit, but not quite. Yeah. No, we just met, hit it off immediately. It was amazing because we were both super direct. And that works really well for me. Very genuine, very direct, kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't an interview. Like at most dates or first dates are interviews, kind of
where everybody sent their representative.
But it's bullshit because all of those interviews they're not even candid, even if you were answering the question.
They're the representative.
Yeah. Hey, I just want you to know I'm horrible. Like no one's gonna say that, right? So it's just super candid. I think I remember it. We went to Yard House in Meisner Park in Boca.
You throw some axes.
No, we didn't.
You never want to give a first date an axe.
Yeah. No.
Just a warning to all you guys out there.
Yeah. So
especially don't give her an axe and alcohol.
Yes. Especially if you're me. But no, it's a great first date. We hit it off. And we've been together ever since. We have 2 kids. Sad, the youngest one is about to start daycare tomorrow.
All those milestones, they're not easy.
Yeah. So it's I work a lot intently, and it's like, okay, hey, slow down,
Yeah.
But things are really good, really happy, and we're on the same page. I think that's really important too, is having the support and being on the same page. Everybody has sort of in our household, everybody has kind of a compartmentalized role, and together we equal the team, and we function really well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've made a lot of adjustments. She's helped me grow a lot. I don't have to win every argument now. In fact, I learned to like losing some, as I mentioned.
Yeah, you start learning when it's appropriate to just say, okay, smile and nod.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
if you smile and nod, the truth always comes out.
Yeah.
So if you don't need to be right, the truth will come out and you'll be right anyway. So let it go.
Yeah.
And if you happen to be wrong, I prefer to be wrong. I prefer you were right because I like things to be easy.
I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but it's a good balance, I would say. I still like to win sometimes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But things are good. We're happy. We're in Arizona. I think we're going to Florida in a couple weeks. I'm celebrating my 42nd birthday in like a month, June 26th. We spent a lot of time with our daughters and going around the neighborhood in the bikes and all sorts of new toys that we get them. And now it's funny because in our garage we have Ellie's Jeep from when she was younger, and then we got her it's like the bigger
Next size
Jeep,
up.
the little Power Wheel,
Yep.
and the other one, the other daughter has. So there's literally like 2 pin Jeeps in the garage right next to each other. It's adorable.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's too fast. It's just way too fast. Hey, before we wrap up, how do people get a hold of you?
They can give me a call, 480-299-1434. You can go to my website, which is hmaz.com. And you can also reach me at Michael, Michael, at hmaz.com. And finally, you can reach me on any of my social media, which is Michael, and my last name, which is Iuculano. Do not pronounce mistake the I for an L.
Well, my God, I have mistaken the I for an L our entire relationship.
It's
how do you pronounce your last name?
Uculano.
Uculano.
I could literally tell someone how to pronounce my name, spell my name. It could be in front of them.
So I'm embarrassed.
And it still happens.
So I'm embarrassed. And here's why I'm embarrassed. My son spelled your name correctly.
Nice, thank you.
He did. He spelled it with an I, and I said, "No, son, it's an L."
Yeah.
He said, "I don't think it is." I've got to go on record. I argued with him, and I said, "No, it's an L." And now I just feel foolish. I feel good about the fact that I'm a really good dad, and my son is so smart that he figured it out. But I feel really bad to my friend that I even introduced you at the top of this interview as Luculano, and it's Uculano. Michael Luculano.
It happens all the time.
So you're saying the L is not hard?
No,
it's soft.
It's I.
So soft money, Uculano. Hey, I'm Marshall Sylver. Oh, by the way, before we wrap up, I have a gift for you. This is 10 ounces of Marshall Sylver Pure Silver. At the rate I purchased it, it was only worth $250. By the time Biden is done with his term, it's probably going to be worth about $3 billion. So that is my gift to you.
Thank
Enjoy.
You,
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for being with me on today's show. Our first time ever doing a live stream with an in-person guest. Very cool. Thanks so much to my guest, Michael Hardmoney Luculano, for being here. We're off to have Italian food. I trust you're going to have an awesome day as well. We'll see you on tomorrow's show.
Thank you so much.
Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show coming up 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. I'm going to give you content, information, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice for having it all. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. So stay tuned.